Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about All Access, Showtime, and a little bit about Gabe Rosado versus Jay Love, who fights on the undercard. And for those of you guys who don't know, Jay Love is a prospect that fights out of the Mayweather camp, and Gabe Rosado is a top 10 contender at 154. Should be a good fight. Anyway, I want to talk about All Access. I just watched it the other night, and I must say I was really impressed with the way Showtime put this show together. I thought it was produced and directed perfectly. You know, it was edited nicely. The music clips coincided perfectly with the dramatic clips. Very in-depth look at Floyd Mayweather and Robert Guerrero. Okay? Showtime has come a long ways, guys. I mean, it was only a year ago where they were right in the middle of ESPN and HBO. They were like that final stepping stone before you made it, before you graduated to HBO. You know, you fight at ESPN, you make it to Showtime, and then you make it to HBO. That's how it usually was. But I feel now Showtime is on the same level of HBO. And All Access, I never would have thought that they could, they could have a 24/7 type series as good as the original 24/7. I think this one I seen the other day, I personally believe they surpassed 24/7. It was just a lot more put together, I thought, right? So yeah, man, like I said, Showtime has come a long way. When you think about the fact that they just stole the Golden Boy roster, which includes Floyd Money Mayweather, the highest paid athlete in all sports. Floyd Mayweather right now, financially, he is the most successful boxer in history when it comes to finances. He has even surpassed the money that Oscar De La Hoya used to make. Oscar De La Hoya was the biggest star. First, it was Mike Tyson that was the biggest star. Then De La Hoya became the biggest star. Now Floyd Mayweather is, and Floyd Mayweather has surpassed Mike Tyson and De La Hoya when it comes to generating millions and millions of dollars in the sport of boxing. You know, for the people who say, for the haters who say, oh, well, Floyd Mayweather, he's only a star because he fought against Oscar De La Hoya. Well, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to beat a star. You become a star. That's like saying, oh, you're only a champion because you beat that other champion. I mean, it's silly ass talk as usual from people with YouTube rhetoric, right? And speaking of that, for the haters that send me messages saying, oh, Floyd Mayweather is only big because Canelo was on the undercard. Are you fucking serious, guys? Well, I mean, how long have you been watching boxing? I mean, did you start watching boxing when Canelo started fighting on HBO? Or did you not know that when Floyd Mayweather fought against Ricky Hatton, Zab Judah, Shane Mosley, every pay-per-view fight that Floyd Mayweather has had, it has done huge numbers, right? It has done huge numbers. To suggest that Floyd Mayweather is only doing numbers because some guy is fighting on his undercard is ridiculous to even fix your mouth to say something that damn crazy. Because then if you're going to say that, then all I have to do is ask you, then why is Canelo fighting against Austin Trout and it's not on pay-per-view? Right? Don't get me wrong, guys. Canelo, if he can beat Trout, Canelo is the future of the sport. He's one of the biggest stars in the sport, right? But it's way too premature for someone to say Canelo is the one that's making Floyd Mayweather successful. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. We all know for sure if Floyd Mayweather were to fight Austin Trout, we know that fight would be a pay-per-view fight now, don't we? And we know that Canelo fighting against Trout is not a pay-per-view fight, right? You guys could try to make excuses, and like I said, that's what it does. It makes a hater feel comfortable. You make excuses why Floyd Mayweather is so successful, why he's still undefeated. You and your friends come together and you guys come with all kind of excuses to try to figure out why he's successful. But you cannot deny the fact that he is successful, okay? I mean, people say the most ridiculous things on YouTube. Floyd Mayweather is a star because he keeps winning. and he talks a lot of shit, he backs it up in the ring. There is nobody today outside of, I would say, outside of Sergio Martinez and Bernard Hopkins. There is no champion today that is considered pound for pound the best fighter that is still fighting young, hungry champions. There's no one who's doing it and actually winning. I may have said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Manny Pacquiao, he tried to do it. Manny Pacquiao was beating a lot of old fighters who had just came off of losses, right? And as soon as he fought a young fighter, he got knocked. As soon as he fought a young fighter, he lost. And then he fought another fighter who's on his same level, which was Juan Marquez. He got knocked out. And he struggled against all of those fights. Floyd Mayweather has seldomly ever struggled in his entire career against the same competition that people praise someone like Manny Pacquiao for facing, right? I mean, people don't understand when it comes to criticizing people. Any fighter can be criticized. You want to criticize Floyd Mayweather, that's fine, but we can criticize whoever your favorite fighter is. We can criticize whoever you believe to be, one of the best fighters. Anybody can be criticized because if you become a champion for a while, there's not one fighter you can tell me right now who hasn't been big and wasn't a champion that wasn't accused of ducking someone. All right? Every fighter has ducked someone. Like I told you guys before, you have to balance or measure or compare accomplishments versus who you ducked. What Floyd Mayweather has accomplished is far more impressive than who he was accused of ducking, right? Because Floyd Mayweather did duck some fighters, and I truly believe that if Floyd Mayweather would have fought those fighters that he ducked, his legacy would be even bigger than it is right now, right? But he still has time to make up for that. He has 30 months left in this contract with Showtime, and the way I look at it, I can't really see Floyd Mayweather at least not fighting Sergio Martinez, Trout Canelo winner. Who else is it? Manny Pacquiao. That's still a good ass fight. You see people sending messages, giving mixed signals. Some of the Mayweather haters would say, "Oh, I still want to see that fight. I still think Pacquiao can beat Floyd Mayweather, right?" And then you have the other, people who will say, there's no reason for Floyd Mayweather to fight him because he lost already. If Manny Pacquiao comes back and he looks like the Manny Pacquiao before he got knocked out, that's still going to be a great fight, okay? I mean, the only way I would say that Manny Pacquiao is no longer himself is if he goes in there, he fights against an opponent, and all of a sudden, every time he gets hit, he's staggering or he's wobbled, kind of similar to how Tim Bradley looked. I'll know more. I'll know more if Tim Bradley is himself in his next fight, but for now it's up in the air. But when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, he can still fight Manny Pacquiao. Juan Marquez already said he wants no part of Floyd Mayweather in the rematch. So you got Sergio Martinez, you got Pacquiao, as I just said. You have you have Canelo, you have Trout, and there are some fights out there. I can't really see who Floyd Mayweather is going to fight if he doesn't fight one of those guys. Unless, we know. We'll see. So anyway, like I said, man, Floyd Mayweather is extremely, extremely huge. And you can't make excuses for why this guy is bigger than anyone else who came along before him. I mean, it's impressive. Floyd Mayweather doesn't have a Mexican fan base, but I guess in a way, you can kind of say in a way he does have a Mexican fan base. Actually, I have to change that. Floyd Mayweather does have a Mexican fan base. They just don't like him. But at the same time, they pay for, the Mexicans are the ones that's paying for the Mexican fans who don't like him. And it's not all Mexican fans who don't like him. I'm just saying the mass majority of Mexican fans who don't like Floyd Mayweather, they're the ones that's paying for the tickets to go watch the fights, right? I mean, I'm not paying for a Floyd Mayweather fight, but you see it's a lot of, a lot of Mexican fans that are paying because they're paying to see him lose, but they're still paying for him to fight. They're still paying for his pay-per-views. They're still helping. Realistically, if you think about it, you can almost say Floyd Mayweather has a better Mexican fan base than Oscar De La Hoya had, because he's doing bigger numbers than Oscar De La Hoya did. He's fighting on Cinco de Mayo, he's fighting on Mexican Independence Day, and he's bringing out almost more Mexican fans to the fights than Oscar De La Hoya did. If you combine all the pay-per-views that Floyd Mayweather has done, Floyd Mayweather has surpassed Oscar De La Hoya. Floyd Mayweather has surpassed Mike Tyson, who was a huge pay-per-view attraction. He has surpassed all of these fighters. I live out here in Las Vegas, guys, and I can tell you firsthand that Floyd Mayweather's pictures, his posters, his billboards, advertisements are plastered everywhere out here in Vegas, everywhere, from the taxis to the casinos to the largest projectors, on the Strip. Floyd Mayweather is plastered everywhere in this town. And I'm talking about huge billboards. And the majority of the billboards, it's only a picture of Floyd Mayweather. Most of them don't even have a picture of Robert Guerrero. That tells you how huge Floyd Mayweather is. And I can imagine, I feel sorry for the haters because they have to see this. And speaking of the haters, since we have to deal with them, seeing them every day on YouTube, let me go ahead and make this point. For all the haters who post these messages saying, oh, Floyd Mayweather is weak, he ain't fought nobody, he's a bum, he's this, he's that, etc., etc., etc. Why is it hardly any professional fighter on the top level or professional trainer agrees with your assessment when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, right? Why is it people like Sergio Martinez, Oscar De La Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Shane Mosley, Juan Marquez, Nacho Beristain, all of these people, Paulie Malignaggi, why is it all of these fighters, they sit here and talk about Floyd Mayweather is the best of his era, he's pound for pound the best fighter. I'm going to keep saying it over and over because it's very relevant. Nacho Beristain said that Floyd Mayweather was the best fighter on the planet. He is the Michael Jordan of the entire sport. And when you watch 24/7 and you watch Nacho training Marquez, you remember when Marquez was hitting the bags and stuff, Nacho was like, come on, man, you got to be faster. Come on, man. And when he was sparring, come on, Marquez, you got to be more intelligent. You're fighting against a very good, intelligent fighter. He kept saying it over and over, so much to the point when Floyd Mayweather watched 24/7, Floyd Mayweather gave Nacho dap and said, thanks for giving me the respect, that, whatever I deserve or whatever he said, right? I mean, every professional fighter and trainer who's been in the sport long enough, who knows talent as opposed to just overhype type shit, they have all praised this man, Floyd Mayweather, right? They have all praised him. So, to the haters, what makes you think someone is going to listen to something that you're saying over professionals like Martinez, Nacho Beristain, and the rest of the gang, right? I mean, why is no one agreeing with the haters? Floyd Mayweather, he was Fighter of the Year 4 times. I believe he's been Fighter of the Year more times than any other fighter. In Fighter of the Year, those are votes that are put in by fans, boxing writers, and the media. Okay? So what is your excuse? No matter what you say about Floyd Mayweather, you may feel good saying it around a group of friends who hate him, but the reality of it is that's far from the truth, and you guys know it deep down. It just feels good to say it because it feeds the hate, and it's a way for you to escape reality that Floyd Mayweather is the best fighter in the world right now. Okay? He's the best of his era. And you guys, and so far you guys have not found anyone to beat him. Okay? And that's not to say that Floyd Mayweather is unbeatable, because everyone is beatable. But the point is, Floyd Mayweather has gone the longest being pound for pound the best fighter in the world. I can't think of any other fighter who has made it all the way up to age 36. Outside of Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones Jr., I can't think of anyone who has been number one best in the world and was 36 years old or older. All right? Floyd Mayweather is doing that, and he's still fighting fighters almost 10 years younger than him that are champions. Okay? Why do you think people want to see Floyd Mayweather? Why do you think, the haters, they don't really want to see him fight Guerrero, but they would prefer him to fight someone at a higher division? They would prefer him to fight someone who's a lot more stronger. Why? Because like I said, guys, before, even the haters, they don't realize they're giving him credit, because even haters feel in order for us to beat this guy, we're going to have to get somebody who's naturally bigger, who's, matter of fact, so big they're in a whole nother division. We're going to have to get a guy who fucking has bricks in his hands. We're going to have to cheat to beat this guy. We're going to have to, and when I say cheat, I don't mean it literally. Okay, it's just an exaggeration. But the point I'm making is they are looking for someone, like I said before, if this was a race, they're basically saying, look, I'll fight you, I'll race you only if you give me a 2-second head start, right? This is what the haters are looking for when it comes to someone beating Floyd Mayweather, right? But, like I said, guys, I live out here in Vegas, and Floyd Mayweather, he is everywhere. He is everywhere. I remember a long time ago when Larry Merchant was talking, he was hating like he always did, because remember, he used to hate on Floyd Mayweather, something real awful, right? But back in the day, I remember, Larry would always talk about, he ain't an action-packed fighter, right? And this was after he had action-packed fights. Of course, Larry would say it because he has to feed the hate. I remember after Floyd Mayweather fought Philip Endo, I remember Jim Lampley said that, Floyd Mayweather, he just had a very impressive, performance against Endo. And Larry Merchant started hating again. He said, yeah, but he couldn't sell any tickets. He didn't put any asses in the seats, and there was hardly anyone there, and he would do his little chuckle, feeding the hate, But it's so funny because now look where we are today, right? Look where we are today. Matter of fact, I also remember Larry Merchant, he was talking about, long time ago, he had a conversation with Bob Arum, and Bob Arum has said that Floyd Mayweather has seen big, billboards of Britney Spears, and Floyd Mayweather was like, why don't you put billboards and advertisements of me up there like that? And Bob Arum was saying, that it would be a waste of money to spend all that money on promotion, and you're not that big enough of a draw, right? And Larry Merchant would bring this up with a laugh, right? But now, like I said, look where we are. His advertisements, flags, billboards, whatever you want to call them, are everywhere, right? The MGM Grand is only 7 minutes away from my house, guys, so I go to the weigh-ins all the time. And let me tell you guys something. If for the haters who have hung around so many other people who hate Floyd, and you are really naive enough to believe that everyone hates Floyd Mayweather, go to a Floyd Mayweather weigh-in. Go to a Floyd Mayweather weigh-in. You will see fans flocking to Floyd Mayweather, right? And I'm just going to keep it real, guys. The only time you really hear like boos in the crowd, and I'm being real with you guys, is if Floyd Mayweather is fighting against a Mexican fighter. That's the only time you will really hear boos in the crowd, right? But if Floyd Mayweather is fighting against a Puerto Rican like Miguel Cotto, if he's fighting against just, a non-Mexican fighter, the crowd is all rooting for Floyd Mayweather. And don't get me wrong, even when he fights against a Mexican fighter, you still have fans there for him, of course. But it really doesn't matter when we talk about fans. It really doesn't matter when we talk about fans, because the bottom line is People think that if you say I hate Floyd Mayweather, or, oh, you know, everyone hates Floyd Mayweather, it seems like people actually believe that that counts as Floyd Mayweather not being that good because more people hate him. Like I told you guys before, man, this is not Miss America, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't give a damn about a fighter's personality. We don't give a damn if he wants to heal the world. We are paying you to fight. We want to see you fight, right? So, I mean, like I said before, the bottom line is this sport is all about winning. My kids box, and our whole objective is to win. When we go to these tournaments, we want to win. We don't care who's there to root for us. You can root for the other kid all you want. My youngest son, Remy, just had a fight a couple months back where we went in someone's backyard. Everyone was for the other kid. But my son put on a show, right? He put on a show, and the crowd was quiet. They were quiet as hell. You could hear a pin drop. All you could hear is them combinations going off, right? And me and my family's voice, right? So, yeah, man, when it comes down to it, we don't really care. We don't really care if you come in to love us or hate us. Just come to watch us, all right? And speaking of the amateurs, when we talk about what the haters say on YouTube, that has been proven over and over to be so far from the truth. If you go to amateur tournaments, you see the Floyd Mayweather influence on all fighters. And when I say all fighters, I'm talking about from black fighters to Mexican fighters, Asian, white, etc., etc. When you go to like a Golden Gloves, a national type of tournament, whenever you start to see the kids who make it all the way to the top, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals, almost more than half of the time, you see kids of, like I said, of all different colors and races fighting like Floyd Mayweather, fighting with the Philly shell. And if they're not fighting like Floyd Mayweather, they're fighting like Roy Jones. They got the Philly shell going on, or they got that type of stance that Roy Jones has, with the flashy trunks, etc., etc. So, like I said, man, the only fighter who influences these kids coming up is Floyd Mayweather. You're not seeing kids fight like any other style. It's mainly Floyd Mayweather. So, with me saying that, let me go ahead and get into Gabe Rosado versus Jay Leon. I know I ran my mouth a little longer than I expected to. I almost thought about just making a separate little video for this Jay Leon, but I just have a few words I want to say, a few things I want to say about this fight. I think when it comes to Jay Love, he's overrated. He's extremely overrated. I think Jay Love, he did terrible in his last two performances. I was really disappointed because I remember a long time ago, I used to always see Jay Love's, before anyone who knew who he was, I would see him on Everlast advertisements or some type of advertisement. And I clicked on it to see who he was, and then I went on YouTube, and I seen Jay Love looking real good, in sparring. And I'm like, wow, this dude is a beast, right? And then, of course, you hear the stories of him being the most competitive sparring with Floyd Mayweather. But, Jay Love is a perfect example of sparring being something totally different than actually being under the lights and having a real fight. Because what I have seen and what I have seen with Jay Love when it comes to him fighting in the ring, it looks nothing like I've seen him when it comes to sparring, right? It seems like he hasn't been able to adjust, and I'm predicting that Gabe Rosado possibly wins this fight. I think that Gabe Rosado is a much better fighter. He's more comfortable, fighting a professional style, and the fight might not even be competitive. Either Gabe Rosado's going to win this fight, or Gabe Rosado's going to back Jay Love into a corner, and he's going to start, Jay Love, he's going to start scratching like a cat, and, he may pull off the win. But if I have to go with anyone, I'm going with Rosado to go ahead and beat the undefeated prospect, Jay Love. All right? So, guys, that's all I got to say on this video. I'm on to the next one.